It'll be one to go this time by. Coming to the green, buddy, coming to the green. Let's go get him. Go, 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 Dick, 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 go, 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 go.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway.
Bob Margolis, Yahoo Sports, another Yahoo double team. You missed it earlier. You had a tough time adjusting to the core binding when it came in, and has it been that much of a scratch your head type of year for you and Steve, to get your arms around the car this year, especially at these tracks?
Definitely. When you're talking about 4 inches of travel in the front of the car, and you have bump stops that are just these hard pieces of rubber or plastic that is the suspension of the car, and then you have to time them. I was telling somebody earlier, that we ran great at California, ran great at Vegas. Those are the only 2 racetracks we had all winter long that we actually had telemetry on the car when we were able to go test. And so we could time them just right. We could read the data and figure out what they're doing. Then you go to the racetrack, and you're like, is the splitter hitting? Not sure. Are we on the right front bump stop too hard? Are we on the left front bump? I mean, there's just a lot of unanswered questions that is almost impossible to figure out throughout a race weekend. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of times you're just rolling the dice, and sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. And we look back on Texas obviously being the biggest disaster we've had this year, and there's just some things that we've learned since then that we feel like we could have maybe put ourselves in better position or improved the handling and the setup. That was 1 or 2 things that we didn't try. Felt like we tried everything, but maybe we didn't. And we've just been working on that ever since. But this car, on these high-speed tracks, there's a lot going on that we're still all trying to understand. Some teams have just done a better job than others.
Jeff, I know you're not teammates with Mark yet, but about a month ago he said he's really gearing up to win the Brickyard 400, which is coming up. Just how much do you pull for a guy like Mark Martin, who seems to never win the big one, to do something like winning at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
I could be an inch off his bumper, or at his door for the win, and I'm going to be happy for him. I mean, that's the type of guy and driver that he is. When he retired, retired. To me, I was obviously not as disappointed as him, but I was pretty disappointed that he never won a championship, because in my opinion, all the years I raced against him, he's one of the best out there, and all the guys that I've raced against that I feel like are top-notch experienced drivers, they've all won championships, and he's, to me, the most deserving guy out there to have one, and he doesn't. So that's pretty disappointing. So whether it's a Daytona 500 or a Brickyard 400, certainly going to be happy for him.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Clark from NASCAR Scene. Jeff, with Tony being, I guess, given half the team basically with Haas, have you ever heard of an arrangement like that? And do you think that kind of deal could possibly change the way deals are done in the future? Or is that just too rare of a circumstance that would happen again?
I can think of 2 times it's happened, but that's one. It's just a big announcement. The other time there was no big announcement. So there's been 2 times that I know of. Hendrick is a lot different. It's a big organization separated up into a few different LLCs. So it's complicated. But the thing is that if a driver brings enough to the table, then an owner. It's just like some of the drivers like Carl Edwards or maybe a Greg Biffle, but Carl's the one that stands out to me. When he was out shopping, there were some huge numbers that were thrown out at him, and maybe they weren't offering ownership, but in my opinion, some of the numbers that were thrown out to him might as well have been ownership. And there might have been teams that probably did offer him ownership because he's that valuable to certain teams. to a team that is desperate, that is struggling, or needs sponsorship, or needs to reorganization. And so I think that while Haas, I don't feel like they were as desperate as some teams out there. I think that it was very vital for them and their health in this sport to continue on to make a move like that. And that's why I say it works both ways. It's good for both of them, because I think you're going to see that organization grow tremendously and be more competitive. And you could say, how can that happen with just one driver? Well, when it's a driver like Tony Stewart, it can. And I think that's why it was worth the risk for both of them, because I think it's a good move. Tony, as far as his future, as a businessman, I think that competition-wise, they're going to struggle compared to where he's at with Gibbs for a little while. But with his fight and determination, I believe that anything is possible there. So I don't think that it's very rare. Very, very rare. I was in a situation where Ray Evernham was being offered up to start a whole new team with Dodge, and I went to Rick Hendrick and said, here's what's happening. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be right here. But, I'm being offered ownership, and, I'd certainly like to see if there's an opportunity, here, and, the rest is history. And it's just not talked about as much about how much it is and what all is involved with it. And I don't, like to talk about a whole lot either. It's just I'm excited and proud of what I've been able to accomplish in the sport and at Hendrick. And, I think that's a great move for Tony.
Brad, quickly, the last question.
All right, Jeff, we head to the Brickyard here in a couple of weeks. You've won the race 4 times. The last time was in '04. Can you talk about the track, and how anxious are you to get back to victory lane there?
Yeah, I was just there yesterday, and got a chance to ride around the track, look at the MotoGP track, which is pretty cool. They've done some big changes there. But I was also, riding around the oval. And it's just every time you go there, it's just something about it that just gets you fired up. It's kind of like going to Daytona, but for me there's even a lot more memories and excitement, because as a kid I remember taking that bus ride around there, going into the museum and just thinking, wow, how cool would it be to race at that track one day, and now I get that opportunity, and I've won there 4 times. So it's always a race that I really look forward to, and this team looks forward to. And just like Mark Martin, he geared up to win the Brickyard. Pretty much every team and driver out there, they're geared up wanting to win that race. It's a big one.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, thank you.
On top.